And I do feel like with consciousness changing, the vibrational energy shifting, I feel like we have a lot of people in the world now who are grieving and don't realizing it. They're leaving jobs, they're leaving families, friendships, things that have been such a part of them for so long, but then they're struggling in it because they're not a vibrational match. And I think you have a lot of people grieving, like you said, in that space and fear.
You're seeing with the way we've been shifting consciousness is that the old paradigms don't hold up anymore.
Yeah.
You know, so you don't get out of college and just get a job. You know, you don't get a job and stay there for 40 years anymore. You know,
or you don't have to go to college to get a very good paying job.
Exactly.
That's something that and that's just a small piece of the change.
Yeah. So I think what happens is, you know, people still trying to hold on to these old paradigms realize that it's not working, and the more you try to hold on to it, the more people are struggling and fighting that. And I think a lot of the newer, younger people are coming and saying, like, this doesn't work. I'm not doing this, you know. Not going to devote my loyalty to a company that doesn't care about me.
And they are tapping into their own talents and beliefs and their own like creativity.
And their own fears and their own judgments.
And it's not that one's better than the other, because a shift of consciousness doesn't mean a shift from worse to better. A lot of people think that, you know, it's like, well, with the consciousness growing, like everything's becoming better. Everything's becoming more. And I love one of the things that Abraham says is that as consciousness becomes more expanded, the potential for more love becomes just as great as the potential for more pain and hurt. And they said because it's expanding in all directions. And so as consciousness expands, we have a greater potential to love, we have a greater potential to hate. And how do you want to perceive the world? How do you want your reaction to be within the world?
And that's exactly what we're seeing. The extreme parts of like hate, fear, worry, and the extreme parts of like love, joy, adventure, right? Like you're seeing it expanded. It seems like people are feeling more, emotionally feeling more. Because they're feeling that.
The great thing about what you're seeing nowadays is you're seeing the love and the love and hate expressed in the same way, especially through politics. You got two sides, and one loves one thing, and through their love they hate the other side. So they're trying to express love and hate through one avenue, and of course you can't. So that's why our political system right now is just bonkers. It's nuts because people are trying to express love and hate focused in the same direction. And so, of course, it's tearing
bouncing
itself
off
apart.
each other.
Yeah.
So what do you think? Because I have this idea or this concept. So what do you think? So with us three, I'm barely 5 feet. Joe is 6'3", and you're somewhere in the middle.
Like 5'8", 5'9". Yeah.
So when we had our pictures taken, I was standing on a step ladder, you were standing on a stool, and Joe was standing. And even now, people's perception looking at us, we look equal, but my feet are on a stool.
Yep.
Joe is like in his own space. So we're manipulating reality, but yet we're not doing it in a hurtful way. So what do you think about the manipulation of reality to keep things cohesive? Do you think that when people manipulate things,
well,
they're doing it?
You can manipulate things to put people at more ease, you know, because if they're going to be watching us for like an hour or something like that, it might be uncomfortable to have them, to have us not on the same plane visually, you know, so their eyes have to go up and around. And I mean, we have to have lights. I mean, we could sit here in the dark. So, I mean, are we changing perception?
So I wonder, does consciousness do that?
Creating, yeah.
Does the universe do that on some level?
Yeah, well, I think manipulation is creation. It just has a different connotation to it, I guess.
So does the universe do that on a level? Like adjust things?
Well, I think the universe is always a constant shift and adjusting. And
for the greater good. Because we're doing it, so it looks
I don't think it's good or bad. I
Yeah.
think the universe is just doing it.
Yeah. I don't think there's...
It's
again,
like-
we want
Because
to
we're not
put
doing
that
it.
label
We're
on
not
it.
doing it as good or bad. We're doing it just so it's cohesive, just so it looks.
No, we're doing it good. Right? We want to do it so it
You
looks...
just said there is no good or bad.
No, I said the universe or like either nature or something like that, it just does its thing.
Yeah.
What we're doing is we're actually making a decision to go one way or the other, and we want to make it look easier, more comfortable for our viewers. So we're shifting it because of them.
Yeah.
We're not shifting it just because we can.
Yeah.
Well, I'm thinking of that too, because all the people that are watching us are never here,
Yeah.
really. So their perception is like we're all this, but yet we do all this stuff to
The
adjust.
thumbnail for this episode should be Gladys like Godzilla, stopping through and me and Joe like, no.
My feet are on a stool, people.
But yeah, I think the universe is like, I almost think of it almost like a program, you know, and you've got consciousness that's putting all these inputs out, and it's just putting the pieces together.
Or it's giving you the opportunity to put the pieces together. You
Well,
know,
I think
it's like a puzzle that you can put together
Yeah.
1,000 different ways or a zillion different ways.
Yeah.
Well, I guess that goes back to perception, because as we start doing live shows and as we start going out there to the public, they're going to look at us differently, because they're like, well, wait a minute, like Joe is this tall, Gladys isn't, but their pictures look like they're the
Similar.
same.
Yep.
And so it'll be interesting to see, like, we're not doing that on purpose. We're not even consciously even realizing it. But as we're talking about this, I'm like, wait a minute, we change things too. So when you go out there to people will start, wait a minute, like, I didn't realize Joe was that much taller and Gladys is that small. And
Well, how
so
often do people,
just that
when you see your
can
favorite
change.
movie star,
Yeah.
someone says, oh, I didn't
Sylvester
realize.
Stallone's like tiny, right?
Yeah.
Right, or you know, a rock star or something like, oh, I didn't realize they were that small or that tall.
Or a British actor who really speaks like an American.
So yeah,
and not,
so you
doesn't
don't
have
know
his
during the
accent.
show, and then you
Yeah.
hear them talk after, you're like, oh my God. Yeah.
Mhm. And so you wonder, though, how much of the world is that? And how much are we, like, the idea of watching a movie,
And how much
of what's
and-
been adjusted
And
for...
are we focusing on the wrong things? Like, does it make any difference? You know, you
Yeah,
could
it
say, oh,
doesn't.
Well, it doesn't until we realize it's a difference, and we're like, huh, most people can move on from that. There
right.
are people out there who will get stuck on that.
Well, then that's where the problem is.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's comes back to that expectation.
And this is what we're trying to
Like
shift.
I
I've
think that's a
labeled
waste
you
of
as
energy, yeah.
I've labeled you as this, and now you're something else, and that's what happens with a lot of relationship problems, is that you've got two people, and they're both trying to grow in their own way, and as one person's growing in this way, the other person's saying, "But you're not meeting my need anymore."
Stay
Instead
this
of,
way.
instead
Don't
of taking the
change.
responsibility for meeting their own needs, they blame the other person. Saying, "Well, you've changed." It's like, well, you're both changing. You have to change as a living person to exist in this reality.
You must grow.
You're changing all
So the
the time.
bottom line is you just do your own gig, you know, do what you need to do, grow as best you can, and, you know, pretty much to heck with other people's perceptions of you.
But
to
it's
a certain
hard
extent.
when you want connections with people. You know, when you want to have that, well, love, or you want to have that connection or that friendship
but
or
you'll
whatever.
Find it, because there's
But
millions
not
of
in a
people out
codependent
there.
way.
Yeah.
Right. A
If
healthy
you
way.
can be free with letting people come and go, move in and out of your space. I mean, I have to say, within this last couple months, I've connected with a few people that I haven't really probably spoke to in like 10 years. And like, I went to a concert with a girl that I hadn't spoken with so long, and it was just picked right back up. But we were vibrationally
Like-minded.
shifted.
Yep.
And now we came back together, and we're like, we were going through the same experiences. Like, she had an experience with a friend, I had an experience, and I'm like, yeah, I went through the same thing. But
So
yeah,
a lot
now
of attraction
we're
is going to say you're on a
yes.
similar wavelength, so there's that cohesiveness.
But again, like if I said, but no, I've got to hold on to this friend, and I've got to do this, and I've got to stick with this, it would totally, there wouldn't be any room for that other person to come in.
Yeah.
Right. If you weren't open to other possibilities.
And that is an evolution, I'll tell you, because I like my people, my structure, my work, because it's a control thing, right? So I've been breaking those barriers and allowing things to just come in. That's why
You're a perfect example
that's
then of
why I
everything we're talking
say,
about.
when I say mind your business, I say it in the most endearing way, because I had to learn that the hard way. Like, keep my nose out of other people's businesses and what they're doing because of my need to feel in control,
Yeah.
right? And now being able to say, hey, they're out of control, let them be out of control. It doesn't mean I have to be out of control.
And to realize that you're never really in control of anyone but yourself anyway.
And that's the jury's out on that. You know, we just do the best we can.
And most of the time, people are so worried about everyone else that they're not in control of themselves because
Right.
they're relying on others' perceptions to define
Right.
them.
And then you see things like, you know, people need to take care of themselves. They're taking care of other people, but not necessarily themselves, because their perception is built off of
Needing to be needed.
taking care of someone else because they, on some level, they don't feel like they're good enough to be taken care of.
Yeah.
You know?
Or some people just need to be needed. You know, that's another thing. It's like, well, if this one's good, then I'm okay. If this is happening, then I'm
But
good.
usually that's from a lack of self-love.
Right.
If they need someone else to need them, it's because they don't feel that love for themselves.
And that's a huge movement right now because we've been working with self-love forever. I like roll my eyes when I'm like self-love, but now I'm talking about the capital S. We're going beyond the manicures, the pedicures, the massages. We're going into the real, true, genuine self, this spiritual, vibrating being. And that's what so many people are searching for. I think that's, again, there's a lot of depression and loneliness and sadness because of that loss of self, because other things are being drawn away or pulled away from.
That's huge.
Yeah.
That's huge. That self with the
And
big
people,
S. With the big
don't
S.
you think people are afraid of it? Like, I think people are afraid of the
Because they've never been in touch with themselves. You know?
If you define yourself by outside objects or people or perceptions for so long, once those get taken away, you realize that you
I'm
don't
a good
know
mom.
who you are.
I'm a good coworker. I'm a good employee. I'm a good neighbor. I'm a good daughter. Like, I think that's how we've defined ourselves. And our perception is that because that's what people see us as. But I think so many people are struggling with the expectations of meeting that. And then finally just like...
If you define yourself as a good mom, now you have to be like, well, what does a good mom do?
Right.
Oh, a good mom does this, a good mom does that.
Right. So you're defining, you have perceptions on yourself, and then your true self is kind of judging it, and it becomes a self-whirlpool.
Well, your true self is saying, you're feeling sad because your true self saying, yeah, but you love this, you should do this, or you should do that. Like your true self is expanded, and your other self isn't going with the expansion.
Right.
So you're basically growing, but it's like you're keeping the old clothes on, so it's getting tighter and tighter and getting more uncomfortable.
And the self, the true self is just saying, go easy on yourself and chill out. You know what I mean?
It's a good call back to our first episode. You said that in our first episode. Be easy on yourself.
You know why? Because someone had said that to me right after they passed, and I got a message, and it was like, I'll never forget it. Joe, go easy on yourself. And this was probably like 6 or 7 years ago. And I heard that lady today, this afternoon, come to me again. Said, Joe, go easy on yourself. Because my plate was getting over full. And she came to me and said that. But it fits on what we're talking about.
Absolutely.
You know, our inner self is just like, don't judge your inner self. You're doing the best you can and just, chill out. And go easy on yourself.
So what is that, to take that even further, like what does that even mean? So
accept yourself.
Yeah. And even for me, I would say take it even further and listen to yourself. So last night I went to a kirtan, it's chanting music and sound healing and stuff. And I just wanted to go and I just wanted to decompress. So I stayed in the back of the room and I laid down most of the time. And I remember sitting there and I was like, I need this. Like, I need this so badly. So I laid down and I let the universe, the floor, support me. I'm like, this is what it feels like. And then all of a sudden my back started to flare up in pain. And I kept hearing, listen to it. Like, listen to it. Because again, with the go easy on yourself, I keep fighting it. I'm not in pain. I'm frustrated by this pain. When will this pain go away? I'm doing all this work. That's being hard, right? I think people don't realize what that even means of being hard on yourself because you're not listening to your needs. So
you're judging the experience.
Exactly. Yeah. Instead of going in and just embracing it and
accepting
hearing it. Yeah. So I'm laying there and I'm hearing my back tell me I'm broken. And my instinct is, you're not broken. Like, don't say you're broken. How do I problem solve it? How do I fix it? Yep. And then the message was, hear it. Don't try to fix it. Don't try to make it better. Yep. Just hear it. And that's what my back needed. It just needed to be heard. And I think that's that part of going easy on yourself. Like, what is your body telling you? Like, what messages do you need to hear? And then in that, I was like, okay, and I'm just going to lay here and I'm going to breathe. I'm going to breathe into it. What do you need? Just to be. Not fight it, not resist it.
I don't know where I read or saw something in the last couple of days. We're here to witness the creation. And I think we're so busy interacting with it and then judging ourselves how we interact as opposed to just saying, it's okay. You know, you can interact, but don't judge yourself for what interaction you did, because that's why you're here.
And you can't observe creation if you're not seeing it for what it truly is.
Fighting it or
Right.
resisting it, yeah.
We are part of the program, you know, and it's okay to make mistakes and stuff like that because we're human. That's part of the program. It's when we start taking on all this other crap and judging
And it pulls
ourselves,
you outside of yourself.
right? Instead of just letting it be,
Yeah.
you know, it's part of the big consciousness. It's part of God, the whole 9 yards. It's just, listen, we're here to make mistakes. You learn from mistakes, you grow, but don't tear yourself up over them.
Like, listen to what the message is, listen to what the pain is, or listen to what this creation is, like creating this experience. Like, okay, this is uncomfortable, but if we can actually stop and listen to it, it has a message, it has a reason, it has a, just again, to knowledge, like it's got its own information. But I think we judge it so much and we fight it and we resist it. Why? Because I have to do this and I have to do that, and I need to this, and you pull yourself outside again.
And then it creates its own energy.
Yeah.
And then it can just become like a
Illness,
feedback,
dis-ease,
you know,
or
a feedback or addictions or whatever. You know, one of the things, instead of just saying, all right, I screwed up. All right, on to the next one. You know, and I think it disempowers certain things of how you judge yourself.
And actually, that feeds into something I heard today when I was driving, was that they were saying every experience has a positive value to it. And they said, being sad isn't wrong. Not being okay with being sad is where the pain comes from. You know, and it's like, I was thinking about that. I was like, wow, it's like we think, I feel like I feel awful because I'm sad, but it's only because I think I shouldn't be sad that I feel awful.
Yeah.
If you just allow the sadness to come and go, is actually a beautiful.
It's like grief.
Part of-
You know, the worst thing they've learned is suppressing it.
Yeah.
You know, accept it.
That's where the pain comes from.
Right. Accept it.
And that's
It
where
is
the
what it
being
is.
hard on yourself comes in.
Big time.
Judging your emotions. But remember, especially even as females, men too, I have to say, we've been taught, men, not to cry. Like, you got to be this person, you've got to be this. Females, we've learned to like suck it up and move on. You have to survive, you have to take care of the babies, you have to work, you have to be independent. So we've learned as a society that when we do get upset or we do get angry or we do cry, it's become a weakness when it actually is part of our strength, because you're clearing and cleansing the vessel, the channel, to feel, which is why we're here. I mean, spirit doesn't feel the way we feel.
It's a human experience. And we have to have that human experience. Otherwise, we're only doing...
That's why we've come here.
Right. Otherwise, we're in the clouds all the time, and that's not part of the deal. You have to have a balance.
Hi everybody, if you like what you watched, please subscribe on YouTube and like us on Facebook. And check out our website at alwaysconsiderthesource.com.
Hey, if you want us to come out to your location and do a live setup, we'd love to do that. Continue to send in your questions, and we look forward to interacting with you.
And remember, always consider the source.